Right now, deep beneath Southern California, one of the most dangerous fault junctions in America is holding more stress than it has in 1,000 years. And scientists just discovered that a single mountain pass, northeast of Los Angeles, may decide whether the next major earthquake stays contained or spreads across two fault systems at once. A new study, published in the Journal of Geophysical Research, Solid Earth, confirms that the southern San Andreas and San Jacinto faults are locked at their highest stress levels in the entire 1,000-year record scientists have been able to reconstruct. One specific segment, the San Jacinto Bernardino, is now carrying more stress than at any point in that entire timeline, higher even than its previous peak nearly 50 years ago. This is not normal news cycle noise. Something has been quietly building beneath one of the most densely populated regions in the United States. And today, we are going to break down exactly what scientists found, why it matters, and what this newly discovered earthquake gate actually controls. No guessing, no dramatizing, just the facts, the science, and the real stakes. Drop a comment right now. Have you ever felt an earthquake, even a small one? Tell me where you were and what it felt like. Thousands of you have shared stories about shaking floors and swaying buildings in past videos, and I genuinely love reading every one of them. If you want to be the first to know every time this story develops, subscribe to the channel right now. It is completely free. A thumbs up also helps enormously. Let us go for 5,000 likes on this one so the algorithm shows it to people who need to see it. Thank you. Now, let us get into it. To understand this discovery, you first need to understand the two fault systems at the center of it. In Southern California, the San Andreas Fault and the San Jacinto Fault together accommodate most of the region's tectonic motion, the slow, grinding pressure between the Pacific and North American plates. Northeast of Los Angeles, these two systems come remarkably close together at a location called Cajon Pass, a geologically complex junction where a rupture on one fault may be capable of jumping directly onto the other. The last major earthquake to strike this exact region was the magnitude 7.9 Fort Tejon earthquake, all the way back in 1857. Since that day, stress has continued accumulating along these fault segments, uninterrupted, for over a century and a half. That unusually long quiet period is precisely what has fueled growing concern among scientists studying this region. Here is how researchers actually measured something that happened underground, largely invisible, over the span of 1,000 years. Dr. Lillian Burkhardt, of the Division of Space Research and Planetary Sciences at the University of Bern, led an international research team that included scientists from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, the United States Geological Survey's Earthquake Science Center in Pasadena, and the Scripps Institution of Oceanography at UC San Diego. Together, they built a physics-based earthquake cycle model, then fed it a 1,000-year earthquake record reconstructed from radiocarbon dating, tree ring anomalies, and historical documentation of ground ruptures. Their goal was to estimate present-day stress loading at Cajon Pass with a level of precision nobody had achieved before. The results confirmed what many scientists had quietly suspected. Tectonic stress in this region has reached, and in some places exceeded, the highest levels recorded across the entire 1,000-year reconstruction. The San Jacinto Bernardino segment, specifically, registered a stress load of 3.6 megapascals, the highest reading anywhere in the study's full 1,000-year timeline, surpassing even its previous peak from nearly 50 years earlier. To put that in perspective, this model did not simply confirm that stress was high. It confirmed that stress was higher right now than at any moment scientists could reconstruct, going back an entire millennium. Now let us talk about the discovery that gives this study its name, the earthquake gate itself. At Cajon Pass, where the San Andreas and San Jacinto faults meet, researchers found something with enormous implications for how a future earthquake might actually unfold. This junction can function like a literal gate. Sometimes it stops a rupture traveling along one fault from crossing over into the other. Other times, it allows that rupture to pass straight through, letting a single earthquake spread across both fault systems simultaneously. Burkhardt explained that whether this gate opens or stays closed appears to be directly tied to how closely aligned the stress levels are on both fault systems at the exact moment a rupture begins. And right now, with stress sitting at historically high levels across the entire region, and more than 160 years having elapsed since the last major rupture, Burkhardt describes the system as being in what she calls a critically loaded state. History gives us a genuinely sobering example of what happens when this gate opens. In 1812, a magnitude 7.5 earthquake struck near the town of Wrightwood. Researchers studying that event now suspect it crossed directly through Cajon Pass, rippling along both the San Andreas and San Jacinto fault systems in a single event. That earthquake caused 40 deaths at a time when Southern California's population was a tiny fraction of what it is today. If a similarly linked rupture occurred now, through the same gate, the consequences would look entirely different because millions of people, and critical infrastructure, including major highways, railways, and energy corridors, now sit directly across the path such a rupture could take. Let us be clear about exactly what researchers are and are not saying here, because getting this distinction right matters enormously. This study does not predict an exact date for a future earthquake. It does not claim a major rupture is imminent within days, weeks, or even a specific number of years. What it does establish, with unprecedented precision, is that the underlying physical conditions in this region now closely resemble those that preceded some of the largest earthquakes in its recorded history. Researchers found that these fault systems have collectively produced at least 36 earthquakes of magnitude 6.4 or greater over the past 1,000 years. Understanding exactly when stress conditions align to open that gate at Cajon Pass is now one of the most important open questions in earthquake science for this specific region. Here is why this discovery genuinely matters beyond the world of academic seismology. Southern California is home to more than 20 million people, along with some of the busiest transportation corridors and energy infrastructure networks in the entire country. Researchers involved in this study were explicit about the stakes. If a strong earthquake strikes either fault zone and successfully crosses through Cajon Pass, the resulting damage could spread from north of Los Angeles through San Bernardino, Riverside, and the Coachella Valley, essentially simultaneously. That is a fundamentally different scenario than a single contained rupture on one fault segment. It is the difference between a serious regional earthquake and a genuinely catastrophic multi-county disaster unfolding within the same event. So what happens next, scientifically speaking? This study does not close the book on this region's earthquake risk. If anything, it opens an entirely new and urgent line of research. Scientists now want to understand, in far greater detail, exactly what conditions cause the Cajon Pass gate to open versus stay closed. Information that could meaningfully improve regional earthquake forecasting and emergency preparedness planning. Researchers are also expected to refine the same modeling approach and apply it to other major fault junctions across California and beyond, places where two dangerous fault systems meet in ways scientists do not yet fully understand. This discovery essentially hands seismologists a new physics-based tool, not just for Southern California, but for re-examining fault junctions worldwide that might behave the same way. Let us be direct about the practical message here, because information without action is just anxiety. If you live anywhere in Southern California, particularly near Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Riverside, or the Coachella Valley, this study does not change what you should already be doing to prepare. Know your household's earthquake plan, including where to take cover and how your family will reconnect if phone lines go down. Secure heavy furniture and appliances that could cause injury if they fell during strong shaking. Keep a basic emergency kit stocked with water, food, and any necessary medication for at least a week. Since major infrastructure, including roads and utilities, could be disrupted across a wide area if a linked rupture like this one ever occurs. None of this requires panic. It requires the same thing every major seismic hazard requires: understanding your specific regional risk and having a plan in place well before you ever need it. Final thought. The San Andreas and San Jacinto faults have been quietly grinding against each other for millions of years, long before Los Angeles existed, long before anyone lived close enough for that grinding to matter. For over 160 years now, since the Fort Tejon earthquake of 1857, this region has experienced an unusually long, quiet pause, while stress has continued accumulating beneath the surface the entire time. Scientists have now measured that accumulation with more precision than ever before, and confirmed it has reached levels unmatched across an entire 1,000-year record. What happens next depends on a gate, a single geologic junction, that history shows can either contain a disaster or connect two of them into one. Whether that gate opens the next time stress finally releases is a question no scientist can answer with certainty today. What has changed is that, for the first time, researchers have a real physics-based model helping them understand exactly what conditions might decide the answer. We will keep tracking this story as it develops, every new stress measurement, every fresh study on Cajon Pass, every update to Southern California's seismic hazard models. Subscribe so you do not miss updates on any of it, and leave that comment below. Have you ever felt an earthquake? Tell me what it was like. Because beneath one of the most populated regions in America, a gate scientists only just discovered may ultimately decide how the next big one unfolds. Understanding that is how we stay motivated to take this seriously. 5,000 likes on this video. Let us go. See you in the next one.